Hey guys, Icy here. In this video, I want to go over my trial by Oaken build that I'll be running this patch for no CP BGs. I know Oaken Soul got toned down to be a bit more reasonable, but if you account for the new Warden buffs that just came out with update 35, it still makes a 1-bar setup feel really good. Links will be in the description for any video references I make, as well as the timestamps if you want to skip around. And with that, let's jump into the build. So we are of course running Oaken Soul in our Ring 2 slot, a 1-piece Magma Incarnate monster set for the dual stat recoveries. We'll be using Trial by Fire as our damage mitigation set and Rallying Cry as our light armor support set. So now let's actually talk a little bit about these sets, starting with Trial by Fire. This is a craftable set that has a line of max health, armor, and healing taken, which can also be interpreted as healing received. And the 5th line reads, while under the effect of an elemental status effect, you gain 8,500 armor. If you've been following my content, you know I love Ethereal Ascension, and I still do. So why exactly am I switching off that set? I was talking to my buddy Shoddy, and that was his mitigation set of choice. So I took a closer look at it and realized that the difference in armor between that and Ethereal Ascension was actually only 364 armor. And if you have a mitigation calculator like the one that I made, then you know 364 armor equates to about 0.5% of damage mitigation in terms of armor. And that's not really a big difference. And if you compare it to Mark of the Pariah, it's still going to be better as long as your health is above 42% majority of the time in PvP. Now, what makes this set so good? If you saw in the last line of the set, it says, while under the effect of an elemental status effect, which in PvP, you'll notice they have near 100% uptime when you think about how many people are hitting you from a variety of sources. So as long as you're in the fight taking damage and not cleansing yourself, you're going to be afflicted a good portion of the time. And finally, what exactly is an elemental status effect? You want to think about stuff like burning, concussed, chilled, diseased, poisoned, sundered, overcharged, and hemorrhaging. For Rallying Cry, I already made a video about it a while ago, so if you want more specifics on that set, feel free to go check it out. Now, during the build setup, I also included Spell Power Cure as a secondary option. I think this is going to be a great alternative that you're going to want to keep in your back pocket, just in case someone else is already wearing Rallying Cry, especially since Oaken Soul lost the Major Courage. Now we have a great reason to actually want to wear that set as an alternative. Oaken Soul is definitely my favorite mythic, and I really don't see myself going back to 2-bar builds, and I already did a quick video talking about Oaken Soul for update 35, so feel free to check that out. But the most important takeaway is that the Oaken Soul heals are still good. The Minor Mending addition, which increases our healing done by 8%, is actually greater than the 215 weapon and spell damage loss from the Major Courage to Minor Courage change. Now for skills, we're going to have Budding Seeds, Polar Winds, Deceptive Predator, Radiating Regeneration, Echoing Vigor, and Life Giver. Budding Seeds is a great ground targeted heal over time that does an AoE burst heal around the caster after it finishes. It also has a synergy that your ally can proc to get an immediate burst heal independent of its own burst heal after the skill finishes. It also helps boost our heals by 2% just for slotting an ability from the green balance tree. Our second skill is Polar Winds, which actually got a really nice buff in exchange for losing the AoE damage over time. The heal over time duration got extended from 5 seconds to 10 seconds. The scaling for the heal over time increased from 2.5% to 6%, and the actual heal over time was buffed by 20% overall. And if you're not convinced yet, the heal over time now also affects your ally instead of just yourself. So if you really want to maximize the heal on this ability, you want to be at least 35 to 40k health and above to make this hit really hard. And the last point, they also buffed the Frozen Armor passive, so having Polar Winds slotted actually gives us 1,000 more armor, which is really nice. The third skill is Deceptive Predator. I've always been a fan of the skill, but never used it with my Oaken Soul setup because it did not grant immunity to snares and immobilizations like how Race Against Time had. But now that it does, it's actually pretty busted right now, especially on Oaken Soul because of the slottable Minor Evasion, which gives us 10% damage mitigation against AoE abilities. And it's really convenient since we lost the extra 5% of total damage mitigation when Oaken Soul went from Major Protection to Minor Protection. So for Radiating Regeneration and Echoing Vigor, I've seen some people cry about this because they each took a hit to their healing per tick by 40 and 17% respectively, and it's certainly a lot. However, if you look at the in-game non-crit heal ticks for Radiating Regeneration and Echoing Vigor, they're within 100 points of each other and over 1,000. So as far as I'm concerned, I've always said that as long as your healing tick was over 1,000, then you're good, and even after the nerf, we still hit that mark. So please stop your bitching and start healing. Lastly, for our ultimate, the default is always going to be Life Giver because it's one of the strongest ultimate burst heals in the game. But if there happens to be a second healer in the group, then you'll be more than capable of switching over to Permafrost and healing your team with the Polar Winds burst heals. Permafrost works out really nice too because you are going to be able to get back the major protection that we lost from the old console nerf. And as always, nothing is set in stone. If you wind up dying once or even twice, feel free to slot back on Life Giver to compensate and you should be good to go. So since this is my build for BGs, I don't really have any champion points set up to share, but if you want to know what I generally use, be sure to check out the description on my how to build a PvP healer video. There will be a timestamp there for the section on CP. Alright, you guys know I like to keep these build videos short. Let me know what you thought about the video, or if you have any PvP healer questions you'd like me to answer. See ya.